most of you listening, actually all of you listening, I think, are bilingual to some degree. Either you speak Polish natively and you speak English really well, or you speak English natively and you speak Polish really well, or not well at all, like our own Dave, who's not here today, but not here to defend himself. Maybe I shouldn't attack him like that. But anyway.
Oh, you should.
Yeah? Okay, well. Anyway, our show today is kind of targeted at the second group, those of you who speak English or maybe some other language natively and speak Polish to some degree or another as a second or third language or whatever. We thought it would be interesting to bring in somebody to talk about the idea or the subject of teaching the Polish language to foreigners. And Alicja Babula-Asaudouska is a teacher of the Polish language. She works at the Accent School of Polish. You can go to polishforforeigners.com to learn more about that. We'll post the link in the show notes. Alicja, thanks for joining us today.
Hello.
Okay, there is this idea out there. I don't know where people got this idea, but there's this idea that Polish is a difficult language to learn. First of all, do you agree with this, that Polish is somehow more difficult than other languages? And if so, what makes it so difficult?
I don't think that Polish is so hard and it's very, very, very special language to learn. I think that it's like a structure. It's like coding. It's like having new thing to do, to learn. And everything at the beginning is hard. But, you know, for kids, walking is hard. For kids, talking is hard. And at the beginning, also learning Polish could be hard, difficult.
Okay.
Like first 2-3 months.
Okay, is that all? Okay.
Then, yes, you can have the feeling that your mind will explode.
Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
But after that, you see patterns. You will see patterns. You will see that it's not so hard, and you can have fun and pleasure with.
You know, Alicja, I have to say, no offense, but you're trying to make the case that Polish is not hard, but you compare it to computer programming. You say your mind's going to explode for 3 months. I don't know if that sounds easy to most people.
Because first it is like that first you're learning something from hello, how are you? What's your name? Where are you from? And it's okay, it's easy, but then it's the first part of grammar, and you could feel not so safe with that. For example, because we have genders in Polish, right? The Polish is a Slavic language, so could be hard for English speakers.
Because it's there are foreign concepts like gender, like the declinations and the cases.
Yes,
that's what makes it difficult.
Yes, that could be difficult, but only at first.
Okay.
Then, if you will sit, calm down, breathe.
Just breathe.
Just breathe.
Your mind's not going to explode yet.
Yes, your mind will not explode.
Okay. Let's back up for just a second. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay, so let's say it's the first day of class for the beginners. I mean, absolute beginners. They know nothing about the Polish language. Where do you start? What's the first thing you do?
Alphabet. The alphabet.
Sounds reasonable.
And pronunciation, because of course we are having in Accent School of Polish all kinds of students from different countries. And the alphabet is the first thing we need to learn.
Okay, ABC.
Yes.
See, I'm good at that. Look at that.
And then, but you missed one letter.
What?
Yeah.
The A with the little tail.
Yeah.
How dare you, Mike? How dare you correct me?
He doesn't even know the first 3 letters.
How dare you correct me? But you're right, though. So what is it? It's ABC? Oh, my God. I'm already screwing this up.
Meditation sound.
Oh, geez. The meditation sound. Actually, it is a meditation sound, isn't it?
Yes,
okay,
it is.
So you learn the alphabet. Okay, that sounds like a reasonable place to start. And then at some point you get into more advanced things like what?
Yeah, no. First, relax. It's really easy because first you have the alphabet. Then you have some useful phrases which you can use on the street,
like
in the
my
bar.
mind is going to explode.
No, in the bar, in the pub, in the bus, on the street, and so on.
So you go straight from the alphabet to phrases?
Yes, for example, dzień dobry, jak się masz?
Okay, right.
Dziękuję, gdzie jest bank? And that kind of stuff.
Where's the library? It's always the library.
You have to pay for these classes.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
but this is like the first two lessons, 3, it depends. And then you have more. And we started with vocabulary, grammar stuff, for example, genders in Polish,
Right.
Adjectives. Then we are describing people, so how to describe a person using some adjectives. Then you have numbers, first case.
So you say that you start with phrases, dzień dobry, gdzie jest, or whatever. I guess there's nothing wrong with kind of memorizing the sounds, even if you don't know what the word means. Like gdzie jest, you don't have to explain that gdzie means where, and the jest is the verb to be. You can just skip that and just kind of memorize the sound you make with your mouth to say what you want to say. Is that the idea?
Yes, the sound and the sense of the sentence at first.
Okay,
yes, you do not have to memorize, everything, every single word in this phrase, because sometimes you cannot translate it directly to English, for example. So you need to memorize.
So if you're teaching somebody to say, for example, what is your name or my name is, you don't have to break it down and talk about the meaning of each individual word. You're learning it as a complete phrase, right? Something like that. You're kind of memorizing the sounds without really understanding the words.
Yes.
Okay, and that's a good place to start, yeah?
Yes, that's a very good place to start.
How long again, we're talking about beginners. Let's say somebody studies on average, twice a week they have classes?
Yes, we have in our school twice, but this is the normal course.
Right. There are more intensive courses, I'm sure.
Yes, in twice a week, 90 minutes.
So twice a week, 90 minutes. Let's say people do homework, they put in some extra time. In your experience, what's a reasonable amount of time before people graduate from like a beginner level to like an elementary level?
And this is a very good question.
Oh, thank you.
Because we need to distinguish what kind of students we have.
Oh, you mean like the lazy students and the hardworking students?
Lazy
or the dumb students and the smart students?
No, not this one.
Okay, then I'm at a loss then. What other kind of students are there? What do you?
Slavic and non-Slavic.
Oh, the ones with an unfair advantage, the Slavic students.
Yes.
The Ukrainians and the Belarusians, they get it faster than we do, don't they?
Yes.
Okay. Because they understand the concepts of declinations and genders and things like that. Is that what you mean?
Yes, because their languages, they are very really similar to Polish. And they can find some patterns to their language and words which exist in their language too and in Polish.
That makes a lot of sense that, they can recognize the patterns.
But not everything is super. For example, they are starting conversation faster than non-Slavic people. But for example, the grammar part is worst.
Why is the grammar part worse?
Because they are starting to talking and communicate, and they are not thinking, okay, so this is feminine gender, so I need to use that kind of ending and connect it with other. They are just, started to communicate.
So you bring up this concept of like distance, like Ukrainians and Russians, the distance from Polish is quite small. It's in the same family. Mm-hmm. And your experience, who has the greatest distance? Is it people who speak Asian languages or somebody else?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So people who speak Japanese, Chinese, whatever, they have a long way to go.
Not long way. This path is maybe more difficult because the pronunciation for them is really hard at the beginning, even harder than for Americans or people from Great Britain. But they are learning in a different way. They are learning tables and grammar stuff very, very. I don't know how to
systematically.
Say. Yes, that kind of and for them it's really hard at the beginning, using this twice a week only a course. But if you are studying every single day, even it's 5-10 minutes to listen something, to read something out loud. It's easier and easier.
Well, I guess like any other subject, if you put the extra time in, you're going to advance faster. Mm-hmm. So you say on the matter of sounds, for example, the Asian students have more problems replicating the sounds of Polish. This is like, you mean like physically moving their mouth and their tongue in a way to make the right sound?
At the beginning, yes, because it's like to go for the first time to the gym, right? You are running, you're starting to run and the whole body is in pain.
I've been there, yeah. I've been there.
And this is the same with using new language. Because your tongue is in a different position, your mouth is moving in a different
So you
way.
need the Polish tongue position. That sounds lewd in a way that we don't mean it, but yeah.
Sounds like the name of this.
Let's bring in Dr. Mike and Josh here with some more questions about learning Polish as a foreign language.
Yeah, I have to complain a little bit here because I moved to
You
Poland.
complain?
Yeah, I'm Polish after all.
Remember, he is Polish.
I moved here in my late teens, and yeah, I spoken Polish with my parents most of my life. But first of all, I started speaking at a relatively older age. I was like quiet, and then from monosyllabic sounds, I went to basic sentences very quickly.
He was 9 years old when that happened.
Mama, yeah, and. Though I was never like formally trained in Polish. I had Polish Saturday schools, but the truth is every foreign-born Polish kid just goes there, shows up, doesn't really pay attention. When I came here, I was in high school. There wasn't any more like classes actually doing with grammar and stuff like that. It was all literature, which sucked, by the way, for me. But I quickly picked up more or less the ability to speak, but I could never get my head around or whatever, my tongue around proper pronunciation. And this is something that I could never understand. Why is it in Polish that even non-foreign people, but people born and raised in Poland, so often have to go to speech therapy? I've never heard of this in any other country that I've been to, especially in English-speaking countries. I've never heard about kids, unless they seriously have some problem, needing to go to a specialist.
Is that a thing?
Here I hear so many kids that go into, the logopeda. It's actually funded by the state to a certain degree. So, and in my high school, I remember talking to them, it was like a third of the kids had to have some kind of extra classes to,
Speaking Polish as a kid damages your tongue somehow.
Yeah,
It's that bad.
Oh my.
All right, Alicja, you want to take that on?
No, because the English is easier, the pronunciation is easier than Polish pronunciation.
Okay.
And we have sounds like sh, zh, d. And your tongue and mouth and how you breathe need to be, in the same time. You need to click to the sound. And that's hard at the beginning. And yes, Polish kids are going to speech therapists often.
Do you think there's something wrong with the language when you need specialists just to teach a kid how to talk?
No, it's not the language. Of course, we have some problems at the beginning, but it's completely normal.
Tell us about some of the characteristic problems or issues or specific bits of the language that foreign students seem to have trouble with. Like, for example, I know from my experience teaching English that let's say the present perfect, there's no equivalent in Polish, so people have trouble internalizing the difference between the present perfect and the past simple, much like I'm sure students have trouble internalizing declinations or genders. But is there any other, something like false friends, you probably know what that is, or anything that students always have lots of trouble with?
Yes. Case which is called Locative. In Polish it's miejscownik. And it's really hard for students because this case is really hard and crazy because we are changing, we have alternations and we are changing one letter to another. And this is really hard to understand and memorize, because this is the one of the most hardest thing to memorize, which letters are changing to which. Can
you remind me? I don't know this really well. Which case? In what situation do you use that case?
For example, when we are saying, I'm talking about my mom. Mówię o mamie, o tacie, o rowerze.
And that one is more difficult for some reason for students.
Yes, because, for example, you have a bicycle, rower, and then from nowhere you have rowerze. So
I would agree with that. From nowhere. That's exactly how I feel about it, too. Just for no reason whatsoever. Polish is weird. If you put a preposition in front of something, oh my God, it changes everything for reasons that I can't
Yes, because
under, over, about, to, for, by, with. Suddenly, preposition changes everything, and I don't get it conceptually. I don't understand.
So the order you put them in, and what the numbers of the certain noun as well.
So we're complaining more already. Like,
yes, you are complaining a lot,
Yeah,
and I see that it's really hard for you to think that Polish it's a really nice language, and of course, yes, the prepositions are hard, but if you group them, because we can group them to 3 groups, and each group have each case to connect, then it's easier.
Well, I'm going to butt in here because my Polish is generally pretty terrible. But one of the things that I have tried to do over the years is learn which prepositions go with which endings. So, z, which is with, takes the instrumental, and o, which is like about or something like that, takes this locative. And actually, for some strange reason, I learned quite early on that like words that end in D go to the j ending, and T go to the ch ending, and R go to the zh ending.
That's
and
true.
Bizarrely, despite the fact that my Polish is really terrible, I do know how. Oh, and yeah, when you're with friends, they're with the kolegami, and all this.
Great.
Yeah. So they'll just put you back in your place and keep Dave kind of uncomfortable as well.
Well, whatever works, right? Whatever kind of, what's it called? A mnemonic device? Is that what it's called?
No, it's just a little mental picture of like boxes with like nad and z.
Well,
and
exactly. I mean, whatever helps you get the right words out of your mouth kind of works, right? I mean, there's more than one way to get to the right answer, I suppose.
Yes, but first you need to practice that. Yes, you go to the course and you're learning that stuff, and you have 90 minutes of spending time with the teacher and other students. But then you need to communicate with someone. You can talk with anybody, and it's okay at the beginning that you will mix these endings. But first, you need to communicate. You need to actually start to use this language, and actually you need to hear that you are saying this stuff in Polish. Because at first that is bizarre, that your mouth, which is always using English, now it's using different language. And at first it's really scary for a person to use it, because it's a different thing to do.
As a teacher, do you ever find yourself answering questions when someone asks, why is this, or please explain this? Do you ever find yourself answering just because?
No.
Because it's the way it is?
No, I'm not using this because of that. It's like that.
Well, I'll tell you why I ask, because I think, again, from my experience teaching in the other direction, sometimes I think it is an answer. It doesn't sound like a good answer, but it is the answer. For example, we're all attacking Polish grammar, justifiably so, I might add. But let's say, let's be fair. For example, in English, the spelling is completely stupid. There's no logical reason why. For example, W-O-N and O-N-E should be pronounced the same way. It's ridiculous. And sometimes the answer is, it's just the way it is. I can't, there's no logical reason that explains why we use this here and this there. It's just the way it is. And isn't that this case with Polish grammar sometimes?
No, because everything is connected with the history of our Polish grammar. And
can I give you an example that just popped into my head? Okay.
Yes.
Kind of following on what Josh mentioned earlier about prepositions coming before. In Polish, the with you and without you, right? Z tobą I bez ciebie.
Tak.
Now, there is no logical reason that you can ever explain to me that I will ever accept that will describe why the word you is totally different between with you and without you. I'm sorry, Alicja, no offense. There's nothing you can say that's going to make me accept your reason.
Bono would have stood no chance in this country, would he?
For why you... Why? Just because it's a negative, suddenly you is a different word. A different word. That makes no sense to me. Are you going to tell me that there's a logical explanation for that? For why you is a totally different word just because the sentence is negative? I think I got you here, by the way.
Yes, there is an explanation for that, but I think
there is an explanation.
Yes, there is an explanation for that. This is the history of our grammar, and because of we had connection with other languages. Actually, that's the thing, and
like I said, I don't accept your answer. Sorry, you didn't convince me. No offense.
I know.
Mike, are you with me on this? Josh, anybody with me on this, or am I crazy?
No, I have to agree with you. There's some random things that appear out of nowhere. But I found out today that because when you count years in Polish, you have, 1 year is rok.
Yeah.
When you go into plurals, it's lata,
Yeah,
summers.
what's up with that?
But then I found out apparently that, they used to count people's age in summers instead of springs. Now they say ile wiosen mas. So now they say like lato, the summer is say for the whole year. So that's why you say a kid is ma 5 lat, is 5 years old. But apparently, so there's no like plural of rok, like an actual year.
Can I throw another
true.
one? I got this popped into my head too. This is kind of a trap. I'm setting a trap for you.
But but this numbers.
Oh, you want to walk into my trap?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I'm listening to you. Sorry.
What's the Polish word for one beer? One beer.
But the basic one?
Yeah, the basic one.
Jedno piwo.
2 beers.
2 piwa.
3 beers.
3 piwa.
4 beers.
4 piwa.
5 beers.
5 piw.
Why are there 2 plurals? One for 2, 3, 4, and
It
then
is
another
not-
one for 5 or more.
A trap
You
is
just walked right into my trap, Alicja.
that
Why are there 2 plurals?
we do not have
Come
two
on.
plurals.
What?
We do not have 2 plurals.
Sure you do. One for 2, 3, 4,
No,
and one for
of course
5 or
not.
more.
Of course not.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we have special numbers in Polish. 2, 3, 4 are special. And this is the plural.
That's the answer? 2, 3, 4 are special?
Yes, they are special and they are
Okay.
connected with the plural. So piwo, piwa. But if you are saying 5 piw, that's not the plural form. 5 and more are connected with other case.
There's a case that only applies to 5 or more?
Okay, can I actually? Okay, I'll
Jump in, Josh, jump in.
I wasn't aware of this one with beers. I knew it was different with years, so that you're.
Oh, this is the same rule.
Okay, but is it not the case that when you get to say like 23 years, it's 23 lata, and then 25 years, it's 25 lat? Does it mean when you order 33 beers, it's 33 piwa?
Yes.
But when you get to 35 beers, it's
35.
No offense to anybody, that's completely insane.
Why? What's wrong with ordering
That's
35
insane.
beers?
That's
That's the only way you can understand the grammar then.
Sometimes.
Okay, Alicia, by the way, this is not an attack on you. I'm not asking
no,
you to
no,
justify
it's
the
okay.
Polish language. It's not
It's
an
okay,
attack
I'm
on you.
dealing
But it's
with
just
this every
those
day.
little things every language has that just you ask what the hell is going on here. Again, like the spelling in English makes no sense a lot of times, right? Well, how is it that PH makes the same sound as F? And if they do make the same sound, why have both of them? I mean, it's just
Because English comes from a mixture of Greek
a lot
and
of questions you
Germanic
can't
language,
answer, Josh. Stop answering the questions that are unanswerable. No, you're right. That's true. There are different
I know
reasons.
quite a lot about
Okay, so ONE and WON. Explain that. Why are they pronounced the same?
Different roots. One's kind of goes through a Germanic root. One comes from a Latin.
So why don't we synthesize them and make it consistent? That's the thing with Polish. By the way, this is back to Alicia.
A matter of time, actually.
With Polish, at least, despite the crazy complications in the grammar, at least when it comes to spelling, and tell me if I'm wrong, there is a fixed 1-to-1 relationship between a letter and the sound that it makes, and as soon as you master that, you can spell anything, right?
That's true.
So that's true. So Polish, at least spelling is easy.
Yes, and you are pronouncing every single letter which is in the word.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Or
Can I challenge you? Even though you're the Polish teacher, well, how about
except-
H and CH
exactly,
together?
except
Yeah.
some connections like S, Z together. Sh,
So
Yes.
there are a few
CH,
exceptions.
yes,
right?
few exceptions only.
But they're kind of equivalent, approximately, to characters in the Cyrillic alphabet, aren't they? I mean, kind of, like Russian words often look a lot more straightforward than Polish words because they don't need so many letters because they've got a character that gives a sh sound and a character that gives a
Yes, they
sh
have
sound
that.
and so forth.
Alicia, are your students as argumentative as we are and critical as we are about learning the language?
They are asking questions. They
More
are
politely than we do, I guess.
no, in the same way as you are asking. But after 2 minutes, they are
F.
yes, they are saying, "Oh, okay, we can continue."
They just give up. Like, oh, okay, whatever. Okay, let's just move
They are
on.
processing that, and then on another class, they are asking, "Okay, you said that, and actually that makes sense."
Okay. Now, just to go back to what you said at the very beginning of our conversation, if I understood you correctly, you don't think Polish is really as hard as many people would like you to believe.
Yes.
Now, as someone who speaks English very well, you're in a position to compare them. You don't see any real substantial difference in the degree of difficulty between
Yes,
the two languages?
yes. I said that it is not so difficult as many people think it is. Of course, we have some problems, and people have problems with learning Polish. But this is only a matter of time to be on this level that you are feeling comfortable to learn more.
Isn't it much more impressive when someone learns Polish as a foreign language than learning English as a foreign language? English seems so easy in comparison. I mean, someone speaks English reasonably well, because of the world of television and movies and the internet, it's kind of easy. When you speak Polish at a conversational level, that means you put some effort into it, really.
Yes, at the beginning, but then it's easier and easier. Yes, of course, English, it's to compare. Yes, of course, it's easier. But for example, pronunciation can kill you, right? You said that in English.
Pronunciation?
Yes. That you have...
The spelling. The spelling
yes,
is crazy.
Spelling, yes, the
spelling is crazy in English, right?
Can kill you.
True.
Yes, that's
I
true.
did genuinely once hear some Americans on the London Underground saying I do believe our next stop is Leicester Square. So that's not just anecdotal. That does people...
I'm going to defend that. I'm going to
say
defend that, Josh. You know why? I think it's ridiculous to make fun of people who pronounce letters that are actually in the name. I know it's funny for you, but that's the way you spell it.
So that's why Marlborough is spelled Marlborough and not Marlborough.
I kind of defend it. There's another Leicester. Isn't there another city with a similar spelling,
Worcester, Gloucester?
Yeah, exactly. So who's crazier, us for pronouncing letters that are actually in the word by mistake, or you for spelling it in this bizarre way and pronouncing it in a different way?
Well, we are.
Why are we fighting between ourselves? Why are we?
Because we invented the language.
Sorry, exactly. Look what Alicia's done to us. She set us against each other. Alicia, in your experience, let's say you get the most motivated student imaginable. This person really, really wants to learn Polish, is willing to put in the extra time and effort outside of the classroom. Again, starting from zero, how much time do you think has to pass before they are at a fairly impressive conversational level in Polish?
Like B1 level?
Okay, let's say B1. Okay. The middle of the scale, basically. Huh?
Non-Slavic?
Non-Slavic. A lot of variables here, yeah. Non-Slavic. Let's say someone from Canada, someone from Ireland. Okay, not Ireland. Sorry, not Ireland. So someone from Spain. European language.
Okay, I think that year and a half, 2 years maximum.
Really? So someone who, for example, who's been in the country for 15 years, surrounded by Polish all the time.
Married to someone.
Married to a Polish woman, should speak Polish pretty well, I guess.
If you are not studying
Dave's going to love
learning,
this.
You can be here for 30 years, 40, and it be nothing, right? You need to do something.
Actually, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on this as well, because you guys were talking about how English and Polish is different for people to learn when it's a foreign language. I also think there's a bit of a threshold for what's accepted. You can learn English and have a very basic understanding and vocabulary and get by quite well, and other people will understand you or know what you're talking about in conversations. While in Polish, I think the threshold is very high. As soon as, when I came here and I would make grammatical mistakes, but all the words were there, people just stare at me blankly. Or I was, when I was first here, I felt very confident. I had the American, I would just walk up, talk to people, no problem. I knew I was making mistakes, but I didn't care. Until one situation I had on a train when I was talking for an hour and a half about politics, genetics, and topics like that in Polish. And then only after a while, the conversation came to the fact that I had been raised in the States. And the woman said, "Oh, so that's why you talk funny. I just thought you were mentally retarded."
Maybe there was a different reason they were staring at you blankly all the time.
After that moment, I basically stopped talking in public for a year and a half.
I thought you were retarded.
Oh my.
Awesome.
Well, I think Mike makes a very good... Sorry, Alicia, but I think Mike makes a very good point, and this is probably one of the reasons why English has been so successful around the world, because basic English is really dumb and you can be understood, and it's very, very poor, and you can use me hungry, want food, and it's terrible, but you understand it. Whereas I think with something like Polish, you've got to do a lot better than that before you can.
Do you agree, Alicia? I don't know how you can answer Mike's question exactly, but I don't know how you're supposed to respond to that. But
impressions you have teaching other foreigners.
But do you think it's true that you have to get your level of accuracy has to be much better in order to be understood? she's thinking?
No.
So people were staring at Mike for other reasons then, I guess.
Yes, you know, it depends. Sometimes people are crazy and they will stare at you because you are saying something
Retarded,
differently.
yeah.
Yes.
All right, we don't want to hurt Mike's feelings too much here. I guess he's. Are you okay, Mike? Yeah.
Actually, I think
It's Friday. I can drink this off later.
I think retarded is a trigger word these days.
Oh, okay. Let's not say that. But okay, fine.
Słowo upośledzone. That's what you called me.
We got a little bit.
But your pronunciation...
Mike is our diversity hire.
It's horrible later on. It's horrible later on. Trust me.
We got a little bit off track there somehow. I don't know what happened. The Accent School of Polish is where you can learn a lot more, and you can meet Alicja there. Just go to polishforforeigners.com. That's all one word, polishforforeigners.com. Alicja, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and hope to see you in Accent during the course of Polish.
We'll tell Dave all about it.
We will indeed.